Hey, what's up guys? In this video I'm going to show you how to remove and replace the valve cover gasket from this Mercedes E-Class with a diesel engine. Now if you have a look around the valve cover, you can see down here the gasket. On the air intake side, the gasket doesn't leak, it's quite sealed. But if you look on the exhaust side, which is the hottest part of the engine, you can see a lot of leaks. And that usually happens because since this side is more hot, the rubber will crack and it will get warmed up faster, therefore allowing the oil to leak. So as you can see, it's quite easy to diagnose a valve cover gasket. You just have to visually inspect it. Now the most difficult part of this job is to remove the injectors, since you need that special tool which comes under, and then with the slide hammer you can take them out. So in most of the situations you need that special tool because the injectors will be stuck, at least one of them. If you want more details, go ahead and check the video I made about the injectors on this car. So I'm going to start by removing the fuel lines from the injectors to the fuel rail. You'll need a 14mm wrench and disconnect the lines. It's also important to keep this in order because while installing them, you will notice that some of them will not properly fit. Next, is very important to cover these ports because if any debris goes in there, it will go on the tip of the injector, which has very small holes, therefore it will clog the injector. Use some aluminum foil or whatever you have. It will take like 1 minute and it will prevent any further problems. Just like that. Then unplug the connectors. Next, with the T40, remove these bolts which fastens the holder of the injector on the engine head. Unplug the camshaft position sensor. Let's remove this wiring harness assembly. I'm gonna use a rubber cord to hold this wiring harness tensioned. Now let's have a look from the passenger side. And with the same E10, we've got the bolts around the valve cover. Now let's try to pry it out. I'm prying it out from the points where the gasket doesn't sit, the cover doesn't sit, so I will not create a point where the oil will leak in the future, like here. The blow-by gases will go into the oil separator. You've got the gaskets around the injectors, and that's pretty much it. It's quite simple. You can actually see that the gasket is a lot harder compared to the intake side, where it's flexible. It's hard to catch that on camera, but you can feel it with your fingers. I will start with the ones around the injectors, which are quite flat, by the way. Now let's give it a nice clean. It's also a good idea to inspect the surface of the cover, especially at the point where the gasket sits, because if there is a crack in here, then the gasket will not fix the issue. The crack might come from previous owners or just a physical damage. Now let's remove the gunk from the engine head and make it from this to this, a much cleaner surface. And don't forget about the injector area because there is also a gasket in there. Put back the bolts. It's a good idea to tie the bolts first by hand. Now the bolts needs to be torqued down to 9 foot-pounds. It's a good idea to start in a crisscross pattern, start from the middle. Next, to torque the bolt of the injectors, use 7 Newton meters first. Then go with one 90 degrees turn. So if you don't have an angle, make sure that you start from a straight line. Then tighten it until you reach 90 degrees. Reconnect everything and the fuel lines. So from this point, go ahead and start the engine and check for oil leaks around the gasket. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and check out the other videos I made about this car. So I will see you in the next video.